All right. Hello, everyone. This is Trish from Boost. Thanks for hopping on to our webinar today. It looks like there's a couple people. All right. Hello, everyone. Oh, no. Hang on here. I am operating by myself today. So just to give you a heads up. So I'll do my best to get any questions in the chat on the right-hand side. Feel free to send them through and type them as I go through a couple of the guidelines. I do want to make sure I answer as much of your questions as possible. If not, I will be following up with you after the webinar, and you can always email support at Boost Media if it's a question that's specific to you or specific to your account that you want us to take a look at. We can do that too. And also, just as a heads up for everyone, this webinar does have the whole network or everyone who is working on templates. So English, Spanish, Russian, all of our writers are on today. So I will try my best to answer questions. Devin is currently out today, which is why it is just me. But let's go ahead and get started. And of course, after this webinar, I'll make sure to send the recorded version just so you can have it for reference again, so you can watch it again if you are confused. All right, so let's go ahead and get started here. So some of you may have seen the email that I sent, I think probably last week, about the updated guidelines. And this is really the reason why I wanted to have everyone hop on for today, get some questions in, and make sure that we're all on the same page about what you can and cannot write for the template project. We received some new feedback direct from our partners, so did want to share that with you. As a whole, we're doing really great, which is fabulous, but we do want to continue to keep giving them top-notch ad copy quality, and with that, we want to make sure that everyone is on the same page. So the first feedback that we got is to use as much character space as possible, and then I have a screenshot here. Let me make it a little bigger so everyone can see. I have a screenshot here of the guidelines, or the wiki as we call it. This link is available to everyone, and I'll make sure to resend this in the follow-up email with the recorded webinar. But when you write your ads, try to use as much space as possible, meaning when you log in, and when you choose to write for a specific batch, when you type in your words in the headlines or the description, you'll see that the character count changes based on how much you type. But try not to leave too much space. What we're going to do is we're having our engineers actually built in an alert to let you know that you haven't written too much. That feature will be going out in a few weeks. So in the meantime, just keep an eye on how much you are writing. Best practice here is to have at least, I would say, no more than 10 plus character spaces left in any part of the ad. So that means in the headline as well as in the descriptions. The path is okay, because path, you can just use the keywords or the category name, that's fine. But this is more so for the headlines and the description. With the improved expanded text ads, Google wanted to make sure that everyone has more space to talk about the value propositions, to engage with potential customers. So use that kind of as your shot to let everyone know how great the service is, how great the product is, and why you should purchase from that certain company or use that service. So this is, remember, this is an ad. This is marketing. We want customers to do something, or even potential customers who aren't thinking of doing something to do something and look at the website or buy a product or call or email or what have you. So use as much character space as possible. And this is also the part where we want you to be creative, because as writers, you guys have that creative space to think of what you can say in a fun and different way. And again, I know that we say this all the time, but we do want to employ you for your creative thinking, or else we would just come up with some, fancy artificial intelligence to fill in all the blanks. But we also know that reaching out to people, reaching out to humans, we also need humans to write these ads and make them very good, and have that connection. So that is why we are looking to you for that. So remember to use as much character space as possible. And again, like I said, the platform will eventually alert you and let you know, when you're not using enough space. But for now, if you see that there's about 10 plus characters left in your headline and your description, take some time to think about it again, see what else you can say. The lead writers right now are sending change requests if there's too much unused character space, because we do want to take the feedback from our partners very seriously. So that is the first feedback. And I'm looking at the chat, everyone's saying hello, so hello right back. And again, feel free to send any questions there. I'll do my best to answer them as I go through this webinar. All right. So the second feedback that we received, which is different from what we've been sharing with you recently, is that we cannot use superlatives. So if you are wondering what superlatives are, there are words such as best, top, number one, best rated, anything that says that a company is the best or the most at something. So I know previously this was not a rule. We said it was okay to use superlatives, but we did receive feedback from our partners that we cannot use them anymore. And this applies for all languages. So whatever is best equivalent in your language that you're writing for. I know for Spanish, it's mejor. I don't know what it is for the other languages, unfortunately. But we are also building this into the system. This is another thing that we're working with our engineers. If you do use any superlatives in this list, that it will flag you and let you know that you cannot use that in your ad. So stay away from saying best, stay away from saying top or highest. And you'll see here in my PowerPoint that there is a list here. This is also linked in our wiki. So if you go to the guidelines, which again, I will share with all of you after the webinar, we did include a link specific to the banned superlatives, which is where I got this screenshot from. So stay away from using that. Again, lead writers are already up to date with this, and they will be sending you change requests if they see you using these words such as best, etc. Okay, so I know it's a little confusing. Apologies for that, but this is what the webinar is for. So let us know if you have any questions as we keep going. Okay, it looks like there's no questions in the chat so far. So I'll keep going along here. So those are the two biggest feedback that we received so far for all languages, for everyone. I know there may be specific feedback for specific languages, and Devin may have already sent that feedback out. So let me move forward here. And let's see. So important guidelines to remember. So a couple of minor but very, very helpful things for your ad. There are the placeholders. So the bracket name and bracket location, which you use in your ads depending on the template ad type. So if it is relevant, say that template ad type requires you to put name in your ad, do your best to put the placeholder in the headline. There is a reason why we want you to use that, because it's say if I'm eBay and you're writing a generic ad about online shopping, it would be important for the customer or even the company to have their name in the headline. And same goes for the location. It's just best practice. We have seen a few writers, not too many, but it's enough for us to kind of remind you that if there is a name and location, they're plugging it in at the very, very end of the ad or at the last description only, or sometimes just in the path. So remember, we all have a very short attention span these days, and people will most likely only read maybe the first headline and maybe up to the first description if you're lucky. So put the placeholders in the headlines or even at the beginning of the description, because this is where the important stuff is. This is the name of the company. This is where the company is located. So we want to make sure that that is the forefront for anyone who's thinking of making a purchase or looking at the website. So this is very important. We don't want the name hidden somewhere in the ad, or else there's really no point of having the name or location there. So just be aware of that. And of course, plug in the name and location only if the template ad type says name and location. So if it says name, then put the name in the top of the headline or one of the headlines somewhere. If it's location, put location in the headline or beginning of description, etc. So it's just a best practice for everyone. All right. I'm going to skip to the yellow arrow, which is the description and headline should be independent from each other. So we have seen some instances where people are still writing headlines as if they're one big long sentence. Best not to do that. The while ago for something, say you're searching for sneakers on your mobile phone, 100% of the ad won't show. And sometimes it'll show maybe the headline 1 or headline 2 and then the description. So be wary of that, and make sure that your headlines don't read as one sentence, because depending on what device you're looking, in your using for the ad, it might not show 100% of it. So we want the ad to read independently, and we don't want it to be cut off when we're looking at it in different mobile devices. And that's the reason for that. But the whole part of the ad, headlines and descriptions, should not read flow into a sentence. Headline 1 and headline 2 should not be a sentence, etc. It should be one phrase, one phrase, one phrase, and then description, description. Okay. So let me pause there. I think I see some questions in the chat. Okay, so for Fernanda, what are the best practices regarding foreign words that are common use in your language? Fernanda, if you could do me a huge favor and send me an email at support@Boost Media for a couple of those words that you're mentioning, that would be helpful. And then we can kind of take a look and have a conversation with you and see what that looks like. Let's see here. As someone asked, can I use the name or location a second time in the description? Yes, you can use name and location wherever you want, as much as you want. Just don't put it everywhere, of course. Like have your ad make sense, and you're not saying name all of the time, but you can use it multiple times. You aren't restricted there, and our partners actually gave us the freedom, or you, the writers, the freedom to use it where you would like and how often you would like. So again, as long as the ad makes logical sense. Okay, good questions. Okay, so the last important guideline I do wanted to touch on is the keywords, and I know this is kind of a tricky one for everyone, and it's also a big debate here in our office because I know it may cause some confusion. So let me explain this as best as I can, and again, feel free to ask me as many questions. I do want to make this helpful for everyone. So keywords as a guide. So there are often times when the keywords are sometimes too specific. So let's see here. So if there is a category called gym and you see keywords gym Santa Clara, gym San Francisco, gym California, that is an instance where the keywords are too specific. So in that instance, we ask you not to plug in the keywords because the reason for the templates as a whole is for you to write a generic ad. So if you see that some of the keywords are much too specific, then don't include them in the ad, and just write about the category as a whole, that is in a generic format. So we know this is confusing. The reason being why it's like this is that this is the data given to us by our partner, and it seems like it was a sort of a data dump, and it's a little bit hard for us to clean it. So use your best judgment when using keywords. If you see that something is much too specific, if you think that, if you see that the category says office, but then the keywords say, for example, office in San Francisco, and then there's one keyword that says, tables or desks, then don't use the tables, don't use the desk keywords because the category wants you to talk about office as a whole. That is what you should focus on. So category is your source of truth. Think about it like that. And then just use the keywords as a guide. If you're really that confused, just use it as a guide and focus on the category and what the category should be. And another tip is if it just doesn't make sense to you and you're just very unsure, take a screenshot and send it to support@boostmedia.com, because what we are doing is if there's any confusion with keywords and categories, we are sending this directly to our partners so that we can just be transparent and let them know, like, hey, this doesn't make sense. Like, you guys have to tell us what to do, etc. And then we'll take it from there, and then we'll let you know what you should do. So let me pause there. I know that can be a little bit confusing, but let me see if there's any questions in the chat about categories or keywords. I know that's really kind of the toughest part here at the moment with some writers. I see a question, CTA word list. I don't think we have it available in German, but let me double check with Devin when she's back in the office for that. But you can basically use any call to action is fine. The only one that we ask you to not use is click, because that's just the best practice for any online ad. We do not use the word click anywhere. So you can do call here, email, contact us, get more information, etc. So yeah. Okay, so any questions about keywords or categories here? And then while I'm waiting for you guys, I'm going to actually hop on the platform and then hopefully write a good ad. I'll write an approved ad. I will tell you that, an ad that will get approved. So feel free to send any questions while I am logging in here, and then I'll share my screen again. Hang on here. Okay, and then share this. Okay, that should show up in a little bit here. Okay, perfect. Okay, great. So I'm logged in one of our internal accounts here. So I'll run through an ad, as if I am also a writer. So let me see. So let's do here English template batch 22. This one's almost done. It looks like. So bus charter. Oh, this is actually a very good example because of the category keyword that we talked about. So let me talk about that for a second. So you see here, business category is bus charter. And then I look at the keywords. So some of them say shuttle bus Toronto. Some of them say, I have no idea what that is. But some of them are also very generic. So bus transportation, some of them are almost the same, charter buses. So in this instance, a couple of things is I would not mention shuttle bus Toronto because that is much too specific. Again, the goal of templates is to have multiple businesses use this ad, plug in their name and location for the specific industry. So if I was a bus charter in California, I'd want this to work for me, not just in Toronto. So that is an example of, being smart, taking some time, critical thinking for the keywords. All right. So it looks like template type here is location only, and then we already established the business category is bus charter. So let's see here, and you'll see the character counts here on the far right-hand side where it tells you, 30, 30, 80, 90. That's how much you have space to write. So let's see, bus charter location. So it's kind of hard to see here. Let me actually do this so you guys can see the numbers. You can see that I'm a little bit over, so let me do here, bus charter, reliable bus charters. Location area. And then let me actually switch this around. Get more information today. Okay, so those are my headlines. So you can see that I talk about the business category, bus charters. I mentioned location in the headline, which is what we want. And then I just pulled in a call to action here. So it could be get more information today, and it doesn't have to be this format. This is just my style. But this so far would be an approved ad because it has the location, the template type here, and it talks about the business category bus charter. All right. So need transportation from location. We are ready to contact. Oops, that's not a fit. Call us. Nope. We are ready to help you today. All right, so there you go. That's my description line 1. So you can see that I use location again in description line 1, and that's totally okay. Like I said, you can use it multiple times if you would like. Affordable and reliable bus charters near you. Call us for schedules and information. All right, so there is my description line 2. Affordable and reliable bus charters near you. Call us for schedules and information. So you can see that I'm very generic. I'm very, very generic. I'm not promising anything specific. I'm not saying what routes I'm going to. I'm just saying like we're a bus charter, we're affordable, we're in location, and contact us. So for the path, you can actually use location. Oops, or no, you can't anymore. So let me see. So let's do bus charter, and I can do transportation. So for paths, what I usually do is use any of the relevant generic keywords. Let me repeat that, relevant generic keywords. So bus charter is a perfect one to use. And you'll see here I use 2 words. If you are using 2 words, you can make sure to use a dash or an underscore to separate the words. Don't just do bus charter, or don't use a space. So always use a dash or an underscore as best practice. And then I use transportation because this is one of the keywords that I saw here that is generic enough and okay enough for me to use in my template. And then this is something that I would submit. And then also, if some of you may have noticed, there are kind of some instructions here, some best practices also, which is also in our wiki. So it's easy for you to make sure that you are following that. Okay, let me look at some of the chat and see if you guys have any questions here. Use bot, mini, bus, and coach is too specific. Correct, that is why I did not mention those. CTA is allowed in headline for templates. For templates, you can use call to actions anywhere you would like, as long as it makes sense. So we don't have any rules for call to actions for templates. It's okay to use them in your headlines and your descriptions. You can even see in my example here that I wrote, I didn't have any call to action in description line 1. I just said we are ready to help you today. So as long as your ad makes sense, that's all that really matters. All right. Oh, someone said adding up all 3 headlines, more than 10 characters left. No, do not add them. So when I said use as much character space, if there is more than 10 for each part of the ad, then you have to rewrite your ad. But in this instance, all these numbers, I can't really see the first headline one, all these numbers are less than 10. That is okay. That is where it's okay. Don't do addition. Don't calculate anything. If you see a number 10 here, or 10 plus after you've written your ad, that's when you know you have to rewrite something. So that's what we mean by use as much character space as possible. Okay. Is the word premium still allowed? I don't know. That's a good question. Let's go check, because I also don't know everything off the top of my head. So as you can see, I have the template wiki bookmarked here on my Chrome, and I'm here in the guidelines. So see full list of banned superlatives here. I'm just going to click that, and let's see. Is premium here? No, it is not. So premium is fine. Okay, so you guys see what I did here. I just have the template wiki always available on hand to check and make sure that I have it here with me. Okay. Any other questions? Anything else that I can go over here with everyone today? Let me know in the chat so I can make sure I go over it with you right now. I can do another example as well. So let's see here. Let's look at another English batch that's different. All right. So I pulled up this other example. I can do this as well. The business category is boat tour agency, and then the template type is name and locations. This is a perfect one to do. So let's look at the keywords again. So keywords, I see boat tours. Okay, that's relevant. Dolphin tours. That's a little bit too specific. Dolphin cruise, that's specific. Ride boats, I think that's okay. Airboat rides, that's too specific. Boat to, oh, I'm not going to say what that place is because I will mess up that name. But that is too specific. This is also too specific, this last keyword. So you kind of see how I think through the keywords and say like, oh, this is too specific. Not all boat agencies will have a dolphin cruise. Not all boat agencies will have a dolphin tour. So you kind of just eliminate that from your brain right away. And that's exactly what I did here. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to start off with name because, again, back to one of the guidelines that I mentioned, put the important stuff at the top at the beginning. So don't just hide name, you know, like here. Don't do that. We don't want it hidden anywhere. So I'm going to put name here at the top. Let's see, fun boat tours for everyone. Let's see if that fits. Ah, perfect. Let's see. Visit location. All right. So name and location are in here. Oops, call us. Okay, perfect. So here in this instance, I said exciting and affordable boat tours with name, call us. And this is okay because I already said name at the top in one of the headlines, remember. So what I am asking is do not, for example, if someone were to submit it like this, and then you hit name here, in description line 1 or even line 2, if I were reviewing this ad, I would send you a change request. So make sure that the important stuff is at the top. And book let's see, even I am having problems here. Book a boat. Yeah. All right. Okay, so this is actually a pretty good example because you'll see here that both my description line 1 and description line 2 ended with an exclamation mark, and you can see it here in the preview here at the bottom. That's a little bit easier to see. And the system gave me an alert and said, hey, you have a little bit too much exclamation points. So one of the rules that's already built into the system is to not have more than one exclamation point. So I'm going to go ahead and change the first description one into a period, and you see that that alert went away. So that was a great example. So let me do boat tour here. Let's see, let's do ride boats because that's one of the keywords. Okay, so that is something that I would submit for this specific template type. The 12-hour change request is already in effect. So yes, and I am saying that because someone asked a question about the 12-hour change request. All right, so any questions? Hopefully that was helpful, me writing you a couple of ads. I know these aren't English, but I only speak English and I only understand English, so I hope even for some of our other writers who write for other languages, this is helpful so you can kind of see the strategy and the thinking I went through of how to write an ad, how I looked at the category and the keywords and took into consideration the guidelines that I went over today. All right. So again, feel free to send me any questions in the chat and then I will answer them. And if not, you can definitely ask any questions to support@boostmedia.com and I will make sure to get to them as best as I can today. Okay, so I think that is what we have set for today. Let's see here. Let me hop back to my PowerPoint. All right. So that is what we have for today. I really just wanted to go over the new guidelines, give you guys more examples. Again, remember the goal of templates is to write a generic ad that any business in the industry specific to that category listed could use. So maybe 5 businesses can use it, 10 businesses can use it. So remember to think that when you write your ad, because we do still see some examples of people getting too specific. So just be careful of that. Read your change requests and rejections. So at the moment, you all now get email notifications if you get a change request. It is a 12-hour change request. So take the time to read them, because lead writers do not have to give you a change request. They can simply give you a rejection. This is to help you out, and this is to give you another chance to fix your ad. Especially if you're 90% of the way there, we do want you to get your ad approved. We want you to get paid, and we want you to get that bonus at the end of the month for the number of approved ads. So read your change requests, read your rejections. Myself and our team here, we also do send you feedback from support@boostmedia.com. So make sure to check your spam and your junk folder. I know there are instances when our emails fall there, so make sure you check them, because we do send very important information specific to you and your account, but also for the whole project as well. Let's see, I think I see a couple of questions here. So instruction said that only first word in path is capitalized. Yeah, so for the paths, make sure that the words that you use are capitalized, and in title case, don't use lowercase for them. Unless you are doing the placeholder name and location. So that is the only instance you can use lowercase, when you're doing the bracket name, bracket location. If your ads don't get approved, you will get a warning, you will get feedback. Depending if we see improvement or not, then you may get a warning. You will definitely get a warning at first. You may get suspended. And if it happens enough, if you're just not following the guidelines, if you're not taking into consideration the feedback that we're sending you, it might just not be a good fit. We don't like kicking anyone out. We give you as many instances of learning as much as we can, which is also why these webinars exist. So do your best. And we also ask if there's anything we're not doing enough, such as resources, anything that we're not giving you. If there's something that we're not doing as well, let us know, because if you guys are doing very well, then that is success for us, and everyone just wins. So we don't want to have to fire you, but please read the guidelines. That's really all that we ask. Do you send an email announcing new batches every time? So at the moment, there is kind of a bug with our email whenever a new batch drops in the queue. But at the moment, new is available. So we're just trying to update some of our servers on our side, but you should get an email when there is a new batch. But right now, honestly, I can say for English, there's about over 2,000 ads that you guys can write. So there's a lot of work in there. For our foreign languages, I'm going to be dropping in more batches today on behalf of Devin, so you can have some more work to do. So we're always checking the queue. We're always making sure there's work for everyone. So, we don't want to hold anything back from you from making money and from getting some work. Okay, so I think that is all that we have for today. Like I said, please send any questions to support@boostmedia.com. We will make sure to answer them. We do check that email every day. Don't think that we ignore it. It's a permanent tab on my window, my work window here. And thank you everyone for the time for hopping on. Um, and and have a great day. I hope I see you all on the platform writing. All right. Thank you, everyone. Bye.